Hello and welcome to the Southbound Sports Show. I'm your host, Richie Leahy, here with my co-host, Matty B. And I'll apologize right off the bat for our probably the worst show I've ever recorded in the history of the show last week. I don't know what the heck was going on. I was using, I'm going to call them out, the Focusrite Scarlett. And I don't know if it was a bad firmware update, but everything through my audio interface went crazy. Like, it ended up rejecting, because I have two streams, one for me and one for Matt. I think it ended up rejecting your audio anyway. So like YouTube didn't have, I don't know if it had you at all, or if it had you up until the thing. It was so choppy that I couldn't even listen to it. What I ended up doing was just cutting out, I used like an AI splitter to cut out like a lot of the dead air that ended up being recorded. And then I listened to like the first 2 minutes and I was like, all right, this is bad. But I'm not going to, I was going to pre-record like a little message at the beginning and say, yo, the audio thing messed up. And I tried to switch it on the fly. And then I almost didn't even, for this week, I thought, oh man, I'm going to just not use it at all. But then I thought, that's crazy. We've been using the same interface for, I think I got it last January or something, February. So it's been over a year. And they put a new update out. So I'm knocking on wood and I'm hoping that it's back to normal. Because I got the good camera going and I had it synced up, but I'm like, I'm not messing with the audio at all this week, making sure I already listened to you on the YouTube, so I know that your audio is coming through for sure this week. I did take a look and see what my track was, because I thought, am I talking too much on the show? Like, is it like 50 minutes of me and 10 minutes of you? But no, it was like 35 of me of the hour. So I'm like, that's actually pretty good. Because sometimes I feel like I just talk too much. So I know you got cut off at the end, Matt, and you're talking about Florida State baseball. So I'm going to give you a little bit of space here to give us an update on that and how you're feeling.
Well, here's the status is still the same. My feelings towards how there's just no movement with it. If you're not in the SEC or the Big Ten, you're just being neglected. And they're stuck because they're playing good baseball right now. And, you know, I think they should have that number one seed, but because of the two bigger conferences, like they're never gonna get a bump over top of the SEC. And I feel like baseball got it, and then with softball, they've I think lost to Clemson the other night, but it was like 6 or 7 SEC schools bumped ahead of them. Like, how do you have that many schools from the same conference? Like, you can't tell me that from one conference they're all that much better. Like, to me, that's a crock. I can see two, maybe if you're going to stretch it a third, but like, you can't just have that many top loaded from one conference.
Oh, I'm going to keep it heated here at the beginning of the show because I agree with you. You brought up softball. So Michigan won the Big Ten championship tournament. So they got the auto bid, but they played UCLA. I think Michigan would have gotten that large either way. They played UCLA in the championship. UCLA is the only team that had a chance to get 50 wins. They were ranked like 6th or something. Michigan beats them in one game, right? I think they beat Michigan in the 3 regular season games. Then they lost their home regional. Like, what kind of BS is that? Just because you weren't the conference champ from the Big Ten, you don't think that a team with 49 wins, the most, like, I think they would have been the most or one of the most, should have got the home regional and the SEC thing. So what happened is Georgia and A&M were supposed to play for the SEC championship. They rained it out, I think. Said that they weren't going to make it up, so they're going to make them co-champs. And then they both got home regionals. I think they were like the 1 and 2 seeds. Like, how is that even fair to the other teams? It goes back to the college football championship games. Like, why play them? If UCLA doesn't play that game against Michigan, they probably get a home seed. I know there were 8 of them. You can't tell me that all the other like the SEC deserve to have 2 home teams with home field advantage in the regional over the UCLA. You don't know that. And one of them, I think it was Oklahoma in the SEC. I think they got a home regional. I think it was Georgia and A&M. Maybe it was Oklahoma, but Oklahoma's non-conference schedule was complete trash. And I know they were like the reigning champs of the last couple of years. I don't know if they've won it 3 in a row. But why in the world would a team, like especially with like Michigan and like the Big Ten, I don't know how much UCLA is, but like Michigan has to travel and play tough teams early in the year to boost their schedule, and they have to do it all on the road because they don't have the weather. But like Oklahoma can just cherry pick, and we're the champs. We're not even going to care who we play. We'll be ready for the thing. It's like, I'm just tired of it. And I think a lot of people are getting tired of it too. Like the SEC. That's why, man, the more I think about it, like if Ohio State doesn't miss that field goal against Georgia, the Big Ten probably has the last 3 championships in football. Like how much different would things be if you can't point at the SEC saying, well, Georgia went back to back. Like what if they didn't? like that would have been a big deal, especially because Bama hasn't won since the shortened COVID season. And that was the only season that they went, I think, undefeated in recent times to win the national championship. Most of the other seasons they had a loss. So it's not like they're just world beaters crushing every team. Like, no, most of their seasons were blemished. And even the one they were undefeated, it was only 13 games. And they, like, the most of the other tough conferences games got canceled or whatever. So, like, they beat an Ohio State team with, like, 7 wins or something. So, I'm tired of it. ESPN is rolling out a streaming app. $30 a month for only ESPN content. Now, they have the ESPN Plus that you can get as an add-on. The way I read it, when I sent it to you, Matt, I think that ESPN Plus, you can still pay separate if you just want the add-on, which is like their hockey games and college games. But for me, ACC Network a lot of times is blacked out because I'm in the area of NC State, Duke, and UNC. There's absolutely no way I would pay to trust ESPN. Now, maybe they are going to say, like, hey, if you pay for the full package, you don't get blackouts anymore. I don't know. Until I see it in writing or they give me a trial and I can test it, there's no way I would pay. But there's no way I would pay for ESPN anyway. I tried to think of what event or events that that would be worth it. Like, did I ever miss watching ESPN? Only the college football playoffs. Maybe an NFL game, but a lot of those Monday night ones have been put on ABC because they know no one's watching ESPN. They've lost, like, since we've been doing the show, they've lost like 40 million subscribers. Like, they're getting close to only having 50 million subscribers, and even just having the price at 30 is too much. I know you watch a lot of ESPN stuff. Is it worth it for you to get it?
I almost feel like I almost feel like I'm getting into this point for the nostalgia of the old ESPN3, because I feel like everything that we would have wanted to have it for, we don't have access to anymore. And it's like with all the blackouts, like if you're paying for whatever these upgraded Disney, like the Disney Plus, and you're getting ESPN with it, like I feel like whatever they're carrying, you should be able to have access to. Like I don't understand where this gouging is coming from, because it's just pushing me to a point where I'm just going to be content with like local channels and just it is what it is. Because I think you can't say, well, get this, but you're only going to have access to these games, or you're only going to have access to this little bit. And it's like you're still having to pay extra. So what am I getting out of it? If I still end up having to pay extra fees for extra stuff, for extra content anyhow.
But see, that's the thing too. They've cut so many contracts, and they, like, for me, even if I were like trying to watch the channels, I don't know what I would watch. Like, it reminds me of like when I was a teacher. I had a classroom, like summer, you go in for summer days, I have ESPN on. All it is talk shows all day. So you're going to pay $30 to listen to like glorified clip shows. I understand back in cable, people are nostalgic for that. They don't even show highlights anymore. It's like, hey, look at what players dressed as. Like, I don't care. It's like e-entertainment or people screaming at each other. And then they don't even get to the juicy, like off the field stuff. So it's like, all right, well, what am I watching for? And then they cut the Big Ten. They doubled down on the SEC. I'm not interested in the SEC. So any sport, really. So I don't care about any of that. Now, if like they would invite like NC State to the SEC, that might swing me, right? Because that's my second team. So that would interest me. The ACC stuff is a nightmare on ESPN. Like I try to watch NC State, I really can't. So the SEC hasn't really been blacked out for me. If I wanted to watch, like even going back to when Spurrier was with the Gamecocks, like I never really had any blackouts down here. I really don't. I mean, it's really only the ACC, so I don't know if that's like a different thing. But they cut NHL, they cut Major League Baseball, they had cut like Big Ten football, and I don't care about basketball. But the one thing that I do like how TNT is on like HBO Max, like their streaming app. So they're already kind of doing what ESPN is talking about doing for way cheaper. And I watched that decently enough because they had the college basketball tournament on there. I could watch any game. They've had the NHL playoffs on there. I can watch the Hurricanes. Guess what? Not blacked out. I can also watch NBA when it's on there. Now, granted, I think the Celtics last night were on ESPN. I saw Tatum got hurt. Hope he heals up. But instead, I watched a Canes game on Max. I could have watched both if I had ESPN. But at that point, Knicks are already up whatever in the series. And I thought, when I watch, they blow it and then I get annoyed. So I'll just take a night off, watch hockey. And they blew it anyway. And I didn't really miss much. But I thought, like, if I was paying, like, what if I had to pay $30 a month to watch, like, one NBA playoff game? It should have been on ABC. Most of the big games are already on over-the-air television like we talked about. So to me, $30 a month is kind of insane. Now, I get it. You're comparing it to, like, hey, if I'm going to just so-and-so sports. But I think, isn't Major League Baseball still on Apple TV? Too, and they also have soccer on there, so everything's so split up that you can't convince me that your $30 product is better than what I could get from any of these other ones. Like if I was a baseball fan, I sure as hell wouldn't pay for ESPN. I really don't know what kind of fan you would have to be other than an SEC fan to want to pay $30.
Yeah.
Because you'd get Game Day. Do you watch Game Day?
When I'm home.
See, I watch Big Noon now. It's free.
A lot of times we're on the go. And our youth football schedule, we're probably going to end up playing more Saturday games. So even at that, like, we're probably on the road before we're even halfway through game day.
Yes, yeah, I was surprised too the youth down here was on Saturdays. Because I knew growing up, they always made it a point to be on Sundays just because in case family members were playing college ball on Saturdays, you had a chance to see them. You knew like maybe like what? One or two people from the area were playing pro ball, so that wasn't as big of a deal, right? But they try to like schedule it before Steelers games anyway. Like I remember being able to come home from a youth game and like the Steelers were just starting. So it was like kind of weird how the dads, I'm sure they finangled it. Like, all right, church ends, go to the game, go home, watch some football. Now I feel like people would be like, oh, I don't, what do the kids feel? It's like, what are you talking about, dude? Just get me in. That's all like my coaching philosophy was get me in, get me out, let the kids try to win. And if we win, then awesome. If we end up blowing it, not a big deal. But hopefully the kids get better every game. And some of the parents don't. They still don't get that. I don't even know if some of them even care. But yeah, having the conflict of schedules now is so tough with technology being so much better that you would think it would be easier for kids to juggle different sports. Because I'm sure most of the sports in your area, the kids are coming from the same area, so they know like, oh, so-and-so plays basketball and football. Okay, we can have like training at different times. But it feels like they're making them choose. Do you feel the same way?
I feel like I'm seeing more of an uptick in the fall baseball, where they're trying to make baseball more of a year-round thing because they can get access to some of the indoor facilities and do like from fall into winter and then roll right into spring. I think like I see some of that, but I think it just depends on the kid and the family, honestly. You know, there's some families that they feel that obligation to constantly be on the go, and I think you're not, whether you have your kid in 7 leagues or you have them in 1, if they're good enough to be a scholarship player, like I think there's countless stories of kids like not playing till they're in high school and still earning big time scholarships. Like part of it is genetics and part of it's the training too. Like I just err on the side of, I don't want it to be where you have a kid that is completely burned out and just has no desire to play because they've been like so overly coached when they were young.
Well, that's why I also wonder too, because I agree with you. I don't like having too many like things. Like I've seen parents that put their kid in every single event, and it's like they're not having time to breathe. When they get to high school and they get that freedom a little bit, they're not going to want to play. I've seen it growing up. Like kids that played every sport, you're like thinking that they're going to be on your football team growing up, and they're like, no, I'm done playing sports, dude. Like I played enough, I'm done. And you're like, oh, come on, dude, we could use you. What are you doing? But talking to parents down here now, since I've been like doing sports and just seeing like how they're driving 3 kids, 3 different leagues, soccer, where they're like, we just play soccer year round. Like that's a sport all our kids picked. We don't do anything else. I like to mix it up with swimming because I think that's more of like a life skill. Yeah, you might, your techniques or whatever, you might be overcoached at a younger age, but I would still trust it. Like my kid saying like, yeah, I'm going to go to a beach trip. Okay. Well, I'm confident in your swimming abilities, number one, because I know you had to swim laps. Like no one likes swimming laps probably. And I feel like that is something that would carry over because you're working muscles that you normally wouldn't work ever. Right. So your body might develop a little bit different outside of like genetics. But to your point, some guys just, you don't play sports. You just work on like the physical stuff. And if you're doing hand-eye coordination things, like to me, that carries over. That's why I feel like I have great hand-eye coordination. So it doesn't matter what sport. Like if I played, I could pick it up. Like, oh, I want to play tennis. Like I could probably be decent at tennis. Like I think it would just take a little bit to like learn the rules or a little bit of the tendencies. But like anything, pickleball, once you have the hand-eye coordination, I think that's the biggest thing. It's like a kid throwing 100 innings at age 9. That's never going to carry with him. The only thing that's going to happen is a good chance of injuring himself.
Well, I think too, there are some parents that are living vicariously through their kids, and you have those, and I don't see it as much around here now, but I know like when I was younger, I remember there was a kid that like could throw. He was like throwing a menacing curveball in Little League, and it was like a perfect 12-6 curve, and was just striking everybody out. And never even played in high school because like it hurt his elbow.
Yeah, that's the same thing. I told my brother like, yo, they're gonna want you to throw a curve. Tell them no. Throw a splitter. And I told our cousin that too, and he ended up hurting himself throwing a curve. And I said, dude, why are you throwing the curve? I don't care what your coach says. It's not his arm. Like I hurt my arm I'm teaching you so that you don't do what I did, right? Like you don't want to go in and say like, oh yeah, you hurt your arm. What, you could go in and try to get surgery, or you have to wait it out, see if it heals up, which is what I ended up doing. But I had the luxury of switching hands. So I hurt my right arm, just started throwing left-handed, played outfield, right? Just didn't play infield that year. Arm healed up, good to go. But I learned my lesson. I was like, I'm never doing that again, right? Luckily, I just strained it or whatever. I can't remember what it was. But I'm telling like kids, like, don't do it. It's not like something I made up either. I actually got it from John Smoltz, dude, watching TBS baseball. He was his advice. Like, yo, I see here a lot of kids getting hurt. You should just throw a splitter instead. It still drops. And if you have a hand big enough to let it pop off, like I had or my brother had, like, it was menacing. And even I think when he was coaching now, like I brought it up maybe pre-show, one of his older teammates was like, remember that splitter you used to throw? And I was thinking, yeah, dude, I taught you that. John Smoltz taught me. Like, how many kids sitting at home now are even watching a broadcast and thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to take that splitter that John Smoltz just showed me. And it was 90s. So like, I didn't have the game recorded. So I kind of just had to hurry up and grab a baseball and try to see what the hell he was doing and replicate it at home. And it took a while to like move it around to get it to drop, but it worked pretty good. And I never threw a curve again. Even whenever my arm got healed up, I only pitched splitter, change, and fastball after that. Because I'm like, what are the odds? Like, I know a lot of people, I've talked to some baseball parents, and they're like, well, the goal is to let him go up, see if he's interested, or he could easily get a college scholarship. I'm like, easily get a college scholarship? He's 13. You don't know that. Or like he's 12. Like, dude, this is Little League. You don't know how he's going to develop. He might stay 5'8". Like, my dad was our coach, and he always talked about one of the kids on our team and how great he was the 1 year. I'm like, yeah, 1 year, because he grew before everybody else. Then he flattened out. He's still the same height as he was when he's 11 now. Like, everybody passed him up. My dad's always like, yeah, I wonder what happened to him. I never played. I'm like, he tried, dude. He got cut. Like, once you hit the limit, you don't know what. Like, one kid could be 5 foot whatever, and then he jacks up. Like, I think of I know a lot of my references are Michigan, but Michigan basketball signed Karis LeVert. I think he was like a basketball player. He's like 6'3" or 4, all Mr. Indiana. And then he got to Michigan and shot up to like 6'7" or 8. Got drafted by the NBA. No one would have projected that, because like, who thinks an 18-year-old is going to grow a couple more inches once they graduate, right? They're probably like, oh yeah, he's in. Like, that's it. And so the same thing for baseball or for anything. Because I went to the tryouts, dude. I remember looking around at like the pro tryouts and seeing how everyone was just jacked up. It looked like everyone was juiced. And there's me. I'm like, man, I'm used to being like one of the biggest guys on the field, just like naturally. So like, to get into a tryout where it's like, where do these guys even come from? Why are they in central Pennsylvania right now? And why are they all jacked? It was like lining up next to Ivan Drago's, like a bunch of clones of just big 6'4" dudes that were all running fast and throwing hard. And I thought, man, there's no way. That's why after going through that experience and then having people like parents tell me like, oh, this kid, he's great at so-and-so school. And it's like, dude, just don't bust it, because it's going to hurt that kid's confidence once he gets out. Like, I experienced it myself. Like, you get invited to a big showcase thing, and you're pumped thinking, oh, I'm going to be the best player here. And you're humbled in 5 seconds. And if you don't have the good mindset for that, like, I know people that have like broken down. Like, the whole life, all they've been training is to get a baseball scholarship or whatever. You play college ball. It doesn't matter really what level for baseball, because you can get a minor league contract, but minor leagues don't pay that much. The ham sandwich thing, like, remember a couple years ago where people were posting like their per diem, it was just a sandwich with like bologna on it or whatever, ham. that was their meal. Like, no wonder. They're not really paying you a living salary. So the parents have to then facilitate that through minor league ball, help them get a place to rent. They'll have to have a second job, which is tough to do when you're on the road every other week, right? That's how minor league baseball is. So It's tough, and you're competing basically worldwide at this point. Some sports like football, you're not really competing worldwide yet. Basketball, you're competing with Europe and like Asia countries now. I think they've gotten some guys from Africa recently, but not so much as like with soccer and baseball. Like you're pretty much, and basketball, I guess, would be the three. You're worldwide. So if your kid's interested in any of those sports, good luck. Honestly, like if your goal is to get a scholarship and potentially play pro, I think you'd have the best chance at football, especially if he's like any decent size where he could just play a line position, or hell, you could specialize and just be a long snapper.
Well, that's what always cracks me up, because there's so many people that say, "Oh yeah, basketball's the route to go," and it's like, how many 6'2" or 6' people do you see in the NBA? It's like there's a lot more in the NFL.
I told my brother same thing. Dude, you should play baseball. Or heck, just play football and been a quarterback. How many big quarterbacks are mobile like that? Not that many. People are dying for Roethlisberger back there.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you're strong enough and accurate enough and you have the size, that's honestly the route to go. And yeah, you might have a better chance of like injury or whatever, the career ending. But basketball's tough because you need to have size, or you need to have off the chart athleticism where you're jumping as tall, like as high as like what a 7-foot dude would jump. Like Michael Jordan, they said, would like he would try to stretch himself out and he would just practice jumping all day. Like you almost have to be a little bit sick in the head to train that much. I mean, it goes for every sport. Like Herschel Walker and Bo Jackson were doing like thousands of push-ups and sit-ups. Like, yeah, you don't have to play sports if all you're doing all day is working out. And then you show up at high school and you're jacked and you're so much like bigger than everybody. And they're like, you never played before, buddy? I run every day. It's like, you can run the ball here too. You're home. We found you. But again, if like, let's say Herschel Walker did that for years and he topped out at 5'5", he's not winning the Heisman, bro. Right? Like you have to be a certain size no matter what. But I don't know. It's crazy. And I feel bad for some parents because they're still like tweaked in. Like some sports like swimming and even track, like your time is your time. Like, you know, like going in. Baseball, it's like, well, the kid threw 75 and you're like, well, if he can only add 15 miles an hour, dude, that's 90. We can do it. Like I had a buddy, he tried everything. Throwing hard, he's throwing 90s, went to college, was like, I'm not getting any looks. I'm going to start throwing like submarine. It's like, okay, how's that going? It's going awesome. I'm going to try to like modify it a little bit and like trying everything just to get looks. And it's like, man, I know guys that got drafted, don't know what really happened. Like it's hard. Like it has to be humbling and embarrassing for dudes that get drafted and you're like the local hero. And then it doesn't work out. And then everyone's like, yeah, remember when you used to be good? I always think back of Angels in the Outfield, that movie where the kid goes up for the autograph and he's like, I think his name was Mel Clark. He's like, yo, you used to be Mel Clark. He's like, yeah, I used to be. That's like what my mindset is with like sports. Like you, at some point, you're going to used to be that guy. And you don't want to be the guy talking about, oh, remember my time in like high school? It's like, dude, what about your time in college? Like you should be getting better to a certain point where even at an adult age, if all of your things are in the past, like, hey, every accomplishment I've had was like in 9th grade, maybe you should find like a hobby or something else to do to like be like, hey, look at this piece of like, look, I started to weld, dude. You should see the stuff I've welded. Like, get into something else that could be cool. Like, go fishing or do something. Like, oh, look at this fish I caught. Not like, remember in 8th grade, I threw a no-hitter against that blind school down the road? Like, no, dude, I don't remember that. I have a lot of other things going on. I don't remember what your accomplishments were 20 years ago. But I did notice that a lot of parents, they'll be like, yo, I used to do this. And I try not to do that myself. Like if I meet someone to play ball, like Pennsylvania, it's like, did you play college ball? Because we might have played against each other. It's like, all right, You didn't? All right, yeah, that's it. I played. That's all I mentioned. Like, and then that's it. Play college ball, didn't work out. All right, cool. End of story, right? Moving on to different things. But some parents, they can't let it go. And I feel bad for the kids. Because, like, if that parent then, there's a 90% chance that he's coaching or she's coaching and trying to make that, like, dude, you should have kicked that goal. What are you doing? I would have kicked it. I could kick it right now. Let me go out there. I'll show you. It's like, dude, sit down. No one wants to watch you kick the ball. Circling back around, though, go ahead. You want to say something?
But I feel like if more parents just understood general athleticism, that should be, especially for the younger kids, like that should be a goal. And I mean, hell, even when you're old, it should be functionally athletic to a certain point. Like you should be able to run. Like I'm not saying run a marathon, but like if you have to run, like, you should be able to run for at least a short distance without like dying.
Well, see,
like
I'm glad you brought that up because I have. So back in the day, school used to do, what was that, presidential fitness thing?
Presidential fitness test, yeah.
And not only that, but our school did like an actual field day where that, like, for a competition, like I have a bunch of first place ribbons where it'll be like random school shot put first place. Like, how am I the best at running and throwing and jumping? Like I have first in everything. And then I'm thinking, oh yeah, I went to a small school. Like, right, our school merged. So like I have all the first place ribbons, but some kids, they get all the first place, but they don't know. Like there's no competition after a certain point, right? Because in high school, they're not doing that. I feel like if they did that to where the parent would be like, okay, all right, this is my thing. So you're in high schools, right? You should start a movement. Put me on as a consultant. And we'll start a Pennsylvania fitness movement that will grade people like the NFL Combine, but we do it at high schools to reset the parent expectations, right? Where it's like, oh, my kid, he's going to go pro in baseball. Oh, well, here's his 40 time. He ran a 5'4". Like, that's not good, dog. He's not making it. We did his bench press. He did 0. Like,
well, there is something similar that is going on with a lot of the football. Trying to draw a blank, like via the Coaches Association, and I saw like with the schools that were doing the Leisure Lumber game, like they have one for that area, and the people that do the Lancey have one that like they have like a similar thing set up where they do their bench, they do their runs, and like it's with other kids from the high school. So it's not like you're the superstar of your team, but you might just be a big fish in a small pond where like you can see you're comparing yourself with like other athletes in the area to see exactly where you're at.
Yeah, see, I think it was Leisure. I thought they were like at the same time. But my high school football coach wanted me to really play in it. And he was like, dude, I can get you a D2 scholarship right now. And I was like, I don't know if I want to play college football though, right? Are you going to be on TV? No. Okay. Well, I could just play. I could just play college baseball then. Like, and not really do anything, not have like any lines. They're like, well, I can get you a scholarship. I'm telling you. I think he wanted me to go to his alma mater, maybe. I can't remember. But he was like, they want you to do the All-Star game. And I was like, no, I don't do anything. I was like, I already made my decision. I'm just going to go stay local, play baseball, go for free, take advantage of it. Because I really didn't even really want to go to college at that point. I was kind of undecided. And so it all worked out in the end, right? But at the time, I look back now and it's like, if I was giving someone advice, because I gave one of my cousins the same advice. I'm like, well, they told me the same thing. Like, you can go D2, but that's pretty much it. Like, you're playing at that point for a scholarship. It's just like a job. One of my buddies went through with it. did it, lasted maybe training camp, and then was like, yeah, like I'm just working out all day. It's like, yeah, I know. That's what you signed up for, dude. That's the entire point of the scholarship. That's why people are dropping out. And they were like, yeah, I was like sixth on the depth chart. The coach, when I met him, was like promising me all these things. I told him like, yo, that's because we both measured out at like decently like above average athleticism to where they just like they could use you if you develop, work hard, you have a good chance of playing. But in no world, like if you just compare your own stats, because like I did the like amateur like thing that you were talking about where you did like your bench or whatever. I don't even think we did the NFL combine. I think it was like 185 was what the bench was for reps. I don't remember what I got. I know we did a couple of other things. It was like 185 for reps. We did the 40. I also ran a 60-yard dash that was like above average. That was more for the baseball showcase thing, I think. What else did we do? Oh, we did a shuttle. I did pretty good at the shuttle, surprisingly. My 40 time was better at other events than what I ran, I think, at the showcase. I don't remember. But because I knew the fastest I ran was like a 4.6 something, hand timed. And they didn't have, it wasn't electronic time. It was just like some guy in a gym, like where a bunch of players are just coming through and you don't know anybody. So you're just working out. So I don't even remember what else we did there. Oh, we did a jumping thing. It wasn't like a vertical jump. We did that, but they also did a 1 minute stamina quickness thing where it was like you had to jump and touch almost like a basketball board, like backboard type touch to see how many times you could get in a minute. Like I can't remember exactly what it was. I think you had to touch the floor, jump up, touch the backboard as fast as you could, or whatever the bar was. It was like a bar, but it was basically, to me, it seemed like it was the same height as like a basketball backboard. So if someone wanted to do it at home, that's what they had us do. Like it was kind of like a quickness explosion type thing. I don't remember. I remember I was dead after it. I thought, holy hell, I would never have trained for that. Right? You're never thinking at home, what are they going to have me do with this training? Like I watch a combine. I know like we're running, we're jumping. I know we did a jumping thing, a long jump, which I had never long jumped before. But if you had ran track, some dudes were like, tell me you have technique for that. Like some of it's just technique that I would never have had. So I always wondered like, hey, what if that college showcase thing was, I was a little bit more prepared. And that's why some of these NFL guys, like they're spending the entire offseason just training just for the combine. And I guarantee from my limited like backwoods version of it, you would do 100 times better if you knew what was coming. Like at that jumping backboard thing, if I knew I had to do that, I could did that once a day. Think of how much you would have improved in 2 weeks. Just doing the same thing. Like, okay, well, I know it's a minute. I'm going to do it 5 times a day for the next 2 weeks, and then I'll be ready. Boom. Like the shuttle run and stuff, like you kind of know that. You probably did that before. But
yeah,
I like it comes down to the kid, like, right? I had opportunities. I didn't take the football path. I could have. I tried to get football at our college. Because even after I stopped playing baseball, I was still one of the athletic ambassadors for some reason. I was the only non-athlete on the board. Like, why am I here? Right? And I voted for football, and the guy told me, hey, I was like, hey, we should vote for football. And the guy's like, football will have enough votes, but you're not getting funding for football. And I think we've got funding for bowling instead. And I thought, then why am I even here voting? Right? I said, you could have just put me out there. I could have just played safety for a year, hit some people again. Tried to do like hockey. They didn't get funding for that. I think they did a club team. And when I saw how expensive it was, I thought, well, I can't afford that, brother. Right? You have to pay for your own ice time and stuff. I thought, no way. I don't even know how long the club team lasted. I don't think it exists anymore. But that's just some of the high school stuff that, like, as you're coming up, it comes down more to the athlete than the parent and the kids and doing all the stuff. But the exposure is a big thing now with social media. Circling back, we talked about like the ESPN thing. Now, I think Fox said they're going to try to do a package. And like I was already done on the ESPN one. I don't think I would buy the Fox one because I don't know what sports they're going to have. Big Ten football? Like NFL stuff is already free over the air. Why am I paying Fox? What's probably going to be the exact same price. I'd guarantee now that ESPN announced $30 that Fox's package for Fox Sports is also $30. Fox has a lot of racing. I watch enough racing with my pap growing up that it will last me 2 lifetimes. I don't need to watch racing on TV, right? They also have WWE, which it always cracks me up because WWE, when they announce like their TV ratings, it's always like the opposite of how they announce college football ratings. And I just want them to do the equivalent, right? It'll be like 10 bazillion minutes watched. And I'm like, dude, I don't even know how long the event was. So this means nothing to me. Please just tell me what the rating is so I know if people are actually watching this or not. And the fact that they don't do it makes me think that people aren't watching it. But they also sell out all the events. So then I don't know. Like, is it like a concert where people just go and it sells out no matter what? But on TV, they're not really watching? Or like the last one I saw, it was like the most impressions ever. And I thought, impressions on what? Like clicks, views on like social media? You could have paid for ads. I don't know where your impressions came from. So you're a wrestling guy. Do you think people actually tune in and watch like as much as football on TV for that?
I don't know. Maybe.
It's the same for UFC. If UFC was so popular and mainstream, there wouldn't be pay-per-views like $90 because then there's like a bunch of whales, like hardcore, probably like a couple thousand dudes hardcore into it that are paying for it for everybody else. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I feel like with boxing. You can see people, hey, you watch a boxing fight? No, I caught the recap. Everyone always watched the recap. Even the Tyson Paul fight, the day after, dude, I was so pissed off about that fight. I was talking to everybody I ran into, and no one had watched it live. And it's like, yeah, this makes sense. If I was paying a pay-per-view, I'd have been the only sucker here that paid the pay-per-view. I'd have been subsidizing this stupid fight. And everybody else just watching it on social media the next day. Because you could have just did that, and you wouldn't have missed a thing. So I feel like I feel like boxing and wrestling and UFC are all kind of the same, where it's so niche that it doesn't matter. Like there's going to be enough people paying for it that really like it. Kind of like NASCAR or whatever. There has to be enough sponsors watching it. But at some point, does it dry up? I don't know. Like I watched a mini documentary on a guy I've never heard of that bought an old racetrack in Florida and started his own like race circuit down there on YouTube and just sold like pay-per-views and turned it into like $1 million win for him. Because it was like all local dudes and like you get enough people interested in like a bigger city to go. And then with like no funding, people are paying like, yeah, I'll pay $20 a month to watch your little races you have. But they should bring back Wimber Race Course, dude, or whatever they called it. Wimber Speedway, is that what it was?
Yeah.
With the trough? You can go there. You can be the owner. I'm giving you the idea. What else do people in PA have to do? All their buddies paying pay-per-views, and then you're just getting the money. And all you're doing is setting up what? Racing has at most 4 cameras, right? That switch, depending on where you are on the track. It's not like they had to have a high tech like setup. They just have the camera, and one guy probably just controls the cameras and switches them. Especially from a smaller course like that, you don't even have to have the camera follow the car. Am I right? Could do like a drone view. I don't even know what the stream would look like. I didn't care enough to look, and they didn't really have that much. Like I said, it was only like a 20-minute mini documentary. I'm pretty sure it was pretty much just an ad to pay for this guy's races. Like, yo, here's me. This is what I did. It's very profitable. You should subscribe and watch some of our races. Like, I feel like that's what the documentary was. And so that's what I think you need to do. Like, if you have a kid and you're a parent, and they're like the top athlete. You just need to make a mini documentary about them and see if Netflix will buy it. That's how you can get your kid a scholarship. It's like the modern day mixtape, dude. Remember when YouTube first came out and everyone had like a mixtape of their highlights?
Absolutely.
I don't know. But would you pay for a streaming package just for sports, especially if they're all split up like that?
See, I just don't know if it would be worth it if you have to do all the different packages to match the sports that you want. Because like even within, like, I could see if you were going to get it and it's like for college football, and then you had access to whatever college football games you wanted. Like, to me, that makes sense. But like to say, yeah, you can get this and have college football, but then half the games are unavailable because you need to buy a secondary package. Like, to me, that's not worth it. Or to say you can have access to these handful of crap games that nobody's interested in.
And see, that's where I think like the smaller, like that racing thing I brought up, that might work if you have like a diehard group of friends and you all paid and watched it together to give you like something to keep in touch over. Where I've found that like a lot of friends that cheer for different teams or like don't watch like certain sports, like it's hard to like keep in touch anymore. Like once you move away and like do stuff, it's like, yo, did you catch a game? Like, no. It's like, okay, well, we have nothing to talk about then. Right? Like,
yeah. Well, I almost wonder, like, if they packaged it team by team, if that wouldn't help.
I just go for like a minor league thing at that point, because like some of them you could just go for a what? You could go ahead and have MLB TV for like what, $100 a year, $200. I know what Apple TV bought it. But before, you could just have one thing and watch every single baseball game. I don't know if that's still a thing.
Yeah, it might be.
But that's where I'm at. Like, I feel like we're getting away from that. Same with NFL Sunday Ticket, right? Isn't that still an extra add-on for like $300 or something? Because you got that, right? So, like, you had to have, what would it have been?
Yeah.
The Sunday package that was, what? TV, you had to have cable to buy that. Am I wrong? You had to have cable to buy it, and then you had to have some other type of care anymore about it.
Not a surprise. Like, post-draft.
Maybe they did want him to just retire at that point. I don't know.
They thought, well, we'll sit, like, if you retire, we'll keep you on for health benefits, and you can rehab here with us.
Yeah, I mean, because I saw a lot of people that were confused and were thanking his brother for his time in the NFL, and I thought, dude, that guy retired years ago, right?
Yeah, that was like one of the craziest stories.
So having him retire is just a non-story. Steelers still don't have anybody. The Manning tanking for Manning has been popping up, and I saw a lot of people saying that he doesn't have to come out of the draft this year. He could still play one more year. But I think if he had a chance to go to the Steelers, do you think he would go pro?
I think he would, but from what obviously it's all puff pieces right now, but with what I'm seeing from Will Howard, I'm kind of high on him right now. I'm not going to lie.
Oh my gosh. Go back and watch a Michigan game, bro.
I know, I just said. I know that it's all sunshine and rainbows right now. But
that was the only NFL scheme he saw. He did awful. Hey, go back and watch his Kansas State tape. Yeah, he lit it up for Ohio State, but Ohio State is loaded at wide receiver. Like Ryan Day's thing is with Brian Hartline is to just bring in every 5-star receiver, and that's your offense, right? And then they luckily had 2 good running backs enough to get drafted because they bought that one from Ole Miss. More NIL Big Ten stuff, right? Because like I saw that Miami got the highest recruit. ESPN had him as the 3rd highest recruit. I'm like, next week it'll be the 30th highest recruit, right? As they drop him because he signed with Miami over Georgia. It was like some 6'7" lineman. They're like, oh, get this out of here. Because I saw a thing, I forget what the heck I was watching, and they were talking about how, was it on Mason Graham, and like how he's going to be, like ESPN had a thing about how he's going to be a bust because he wasn't a high recruit, and how, like it was like saying how Underwood's like Michigan's only like 5th 5-star recruit. And I'm like, yeah, because every time a 5-star recruit commits, he immediately loses a star. Like I know, like just off the top of my head, like Rashawn Gary was a 5-star. I think he stayed. Underwood. You had JJ. Donovan Edwards was a 5-star or close to it. Donovan People-Jones, like that's 5 right there. Not even counting like Jabril and a couple other ones. And going back, like Ryan Mallett was probably a 5-star. And a bunch of other ones back in the day. But yeah, ESPN. If you knock a star off every time a guy commits to Michigan, it's going to be hard for them to have a 5-star. You just can't have a guy overall number 1 signed with LSU the entire time. He flips to Michigan and then say, oh, we got to drop some stars here. Right? you already put in the hype. So like when a guy like JJ commits early, it's easier for them to say, he's probably not that good anyway. Right? But Mason Graham, like they're putting him up against like Kenneth Grant, and I'm high on Kenneth Grant too. But all they have to do is go back and watch the Alabama game or the Ohio State game. Like Graham showed up in big games. So knocking the Browns for drafting him is kind of a weird take. Like I get it. Did you really want Travis Hunter in Cleveland? Like what's the other option? They don't trade down. They get Hunter. Is that what ESPN wants? Is the Cleveland market that bad?
But I think they wanted him in Cleveland because it was such a crap show. Like they know there's going to be high drama there.
Well, so my other thing would be, what do you think of the NBA? Clearly rigged, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to be there when they're like, all right, this week, you're going to be the one that blows out your Achilles.
Well, see, I saw someone that when Kobe blew out his Achilles, that's when he got in trouble off the court. So we need Tatum to keep his head together. But I'm talking about the draft. Like, clearly the NBA has told Charlotte, like, no, you're never getting a first-round pick. Like, Cleveland, when they got LeBron, I'm pretty sure they only got that pick because he was from Cleveland. Like a hometown hero, that's a big story. And then when he left, didn't Cleveland get the number 1 pick? And then the Chris Paul trade, which the commissioner vetoed because of the backlash over it, and then was like, oh yeah, maybe we could let it go through if they change it up so it's not so lopsided for the Lakers. Like, it's clear they want the Lakers to win. So they trade Luka without anyone telling them that he was even on the market. The league basically just gave him to the Lakers, knowing that LeBron's pretty much wrapping it up. I thought it was hilarious when they choked down the stretch and came nowhere close to winning a championship. But now, part of that deal was the Mavs getting the number 1 pick. They had a 1% chance of getting it. You don't just get the number 1 pick. And dude, if they were doing the Plinko bingo balls or something where you could watch it come through like the lottery, I would have more faith. But the fact that they're still doing the frozen envelope thing after people already said that was real with like the Knicks back in the day, it just shows you that it's all fake. Officials betting on basketball games, you tell me they don't know anything? Like, you're putting on a show. Harlem Globetrotters put on a fake show all the time because all they do is play basketball, so they've gotten pretty good. You tell me these NBA guys can't miss a shot or two if they need to? I don't know how much of it is staged. Are the games fake? Is it just the off-season stuff where they try to like put the rosters together? I don't know. But that's why the ratings are tanking. NBA ratings are so bad. That's like what ESPN put all their eggs in a bucket for, whatever that saying is. And then they want you to pay $30 a month to subsidize NBA. Is basically what you're getting. SEC and the NBA. I forgot about the NBA earlier. So, oops. Don't care about either of those. Who's paying for this package? Like, I saw there was an informal poll on Twitter, and it was like 98% of people said they wouldn't be buying it. Like, that has to be bad. Like, I've seen, like, people complain about, like, oh, I'm not going to buy the Switch 2. But that's like 50-50 because the price is higher. Like, if 98% of people are saying no on Twitter that are sports fans, like, that's going to be a hard sell. Like, you get Stephen A. You're paying for Stephen A's contract, the NBA contract, and the SEC contract. Those are the top dogs. And the Big Ten, dude. Did I send you the financials? Big Ten, once again, $11 million more per team than the SEC. 5 years in a row, I think they said. So you have the Big Ten just making more money, right? They're supposed to get more this year. This is when the TV extra payouts come in from NBC and whatever for the Pac-12 teams. So last year's contract, they weren't even in there. And they're pushing for the 16-team playoff, which would give the Big Ten 4 auto bids. The SEC also going to get 4. Guess what? That pretty much evens the payout between those two conferences. So no more can the SEC get an extra college playoff payout when they were getting 2 teams in. That's the only reason they were staying close to the Big Ten in the past. Newsflash, SEC hasn't been winning now. So when they don't win, they're even further behind. And that was with the Big 12 or the SEC not even paying Texas or Oklahoma basically anything. Even I think they said that they weren't paying, Big Ten wasn't paying for Rutgers or Maryland yet all the way, but it was like a $4 million difference like per team. They were still making more than what the SEC schools were. I don't know how they can be happy about that. I saw people were saying about how the Michigan president went to Florida or whatever for a huge pay raise. And they're like, we don't know why he went. It's like the pay raise, dude. The pay raise. If a school like Florida randomly left the SEC and they said, well, look, guys, we're getting $15 million more per year. That pays for all of our other sports scholarships, which is the most expensive thing. I saw some senator. He went on like some rant. I forget who it was. It was like a senator from one of the Big Ten schools, I think, where they were talking about potentially not paying for Olympic athletes. And they were saying the biggest cost is scholarships. So if they are able to work in a deal where the TV money goes to scholarships for all sports, that would pretty much keep Olympic sports alive. And I'm like, that's kind of like a ripoff, though. Where if our guys are bringing in top dollars for football, they should get that football money. They shouldn't say like, oh, well, here you got to pay for a track scholarship here. Sorry, bud. Coming out of your cut. Like, yeah, I get it. The schools can pay for them then. That's the entire part. Like, the school's still making money, right? If the school wants to separate it, because I'm wondering if getting the government in is not going to help. Because all the SEC schools want is they want a cap on NIL so that then they can go ahead and get back to like, hey, here's a bag full of casino chips or whatever. Hey, go to the car dealership. Get that McDonald's bag full of cash on the side. Oh, your uncle want a new church? Like, come get a church. And then it's like all the stuff that you heard in the past that were true about people getting money on the side, that would just come back if they put a cap on it. But luckily, the government's already poking around and they've already said that it's going to be open market. Like, you can't limit a quarterback to only $3 million or whatever. If so-and-so school wants to pay him 12, guess what? He's getting 12. And so that's what we're waiting to see. If that stays, then it doesn't matter if some guy's like, commit to us, we're going to pay you less. But I know a car dealership down the road, going to give you a car full of cash. Like, the player's going to think, what the heck are you talking about, dude? Trust me, this is how we used to do it. Your uncle's going to have a new church. People will just be donating money to him. And it's like, I don't know. I could just go get paid and, actually be in commercials and stuff. Because that's where the Big Ten is in every major city, right? The Big Ten owns New York, Chicago, and LA now. The other conferences don't, other than the SEC or ACC is getting close with their nationwide conference. And they're in a lot of big cities too, right? Where that advertising money, like Miami, they're not messing around. So I'm curious to see how ESPN's finances work with this new streaming app. Is it going to be good? Some sports like baseball, Major League Baseball, it's been reported by DK Sports. I think that's what it's called, out of Pittsburgh. I know we've been like mutual friends of our podcast and their podcast, as we talked a lot about Pittsburgh stuff. They reported that it's confirmed the Pirates lost money last year. And there were a couple other MLB teams that also did. I would assume it's like Tampa Bay? Some of the other ones that are talking about leaving, because the main revenue source for some of these teams, on top of the TV deal, is local attendance. The Pirates' attendance was so bad last year that now they're in a weird spot where the owner can say, hey, we don't have the attendance to raise salaries, but attendance is bad because he's had years of trying to, when they were making a profit, he didn't pay to keep the players. So now I'm wondering if we're reaching a point where Pirates keep losing money, fans are so tired of it that the Pirates get sold. Do you think that's a possibility?
If he's actually losing money, I think it's plausible.
So let's hope that keeps going. Because I think it came up. I think it came up at like the Major League Baseball report. So everyone in the league knows that they lost money, and it's from attendance, because that's concession revenue. Play any sports simulator. Parking, that might go to the city, but you get ticket sales, concession sales, beer sales. If you have no one in the stands, it doesn't matter how much you jack up the price. If you jack up the price of the concessions, less people are even going to come. Now you're doing dollar hot dog deals, try to get people even just to come. Or buy one, get one tickets, or hey, I'm going to give tickets away to every local church, or do whatever you need to do to get people there. And we're reaching that point with the Pirates. And finally, it's been a decade of people complaining since that 2013 playoff team. So over a decade. But on the other hand, if Major League Baseball is starting to lose money, is it going to go back to being like that small racing thing I brought up, where baseball just becomes way back to ESPN3, where you just pick a team, you pay for a subscription, and you get to watch all their games, and it's kind of like a ticket, but it goes to that team? Because I think they used to have that. I think they actually have that with minor league baseball, where if you don't want the whole package, you just pay for the Braves. I mean, I could already buy stock in the Braves. It dipped on me hard, dude, the other day, and then it bounced back up even higher because their earnings weren't that bad. I'm assuming they were one of the ones that were probably losing money or close to it because of how the team's been tanking. But you never know. TV deals, new ESPN networks, maybe they buy some more inventory, because once you have streaming, if people aren't watching, they'll know. And so they need inventory. That's where Netflix is going. That's why they've been doing WWE and boxing and all this other stuff. They need people to, if they want to do football, they need people to watch. NFL's the easy target. College football would be next. Watch, if ESPN can't pay the SEC bill, watch the SEC start to put a game on Netflix. That's my prediction. Netflix needs that content. ESPN already has the broadcast stuff. They just sell it to Netflix, and Netflix does an SEC game of the week or something. The only way they can catch the Big Ten is if they do something like that. Right now, ESPN has exclusive rights, but if this new network, coincidentally, the year they're supposed to be giving the SEC a raise to match the Big Ten is the year they start their all ESPN streaming network, something will happen. Was there anything we missed today?
Oh no.
Belichick, dude, he's been in hot water. I kind of have connections to the UNC school system, so I better not make any comments. But I didn't get invited to his press conference. I wish I would have been there. I wonder what he talked about. With the team, pretty much. Like, yo, hey guys, you might have saw about me in the news. So his girlfriend was like runner-up to the runner-up. I'm like, what does that mean? Third place? Just say third place, dude, so that I know what place she was in her modeling contest or whatever. That was a big hit to him. I mean, that's the highest he's finished since Brady. Am I right? So maybe he took that as a win. He's like, dang, I wish I could got third place. We'll see what he does in the ACC. If he wins the ACC, would you... How mad would you be on a scale of 1 to 10?
Well, I wouldn't be pleased.
If he won it 1 year and then UNC got a Big Ten invite, how mad would you be then?
As long as Florida State got the invite too.
Nah, knowing the Big Ten, we'll take UNC and Duke.
Well, see, and I'm already emotionally prepared for that type of scenario to play out. So, I mean, they haven't moved. There wasn't any distraction with the SEC. I thought maybe there'd be a little bit more to it with the Big Ten, just as another middle finger to the SEC, and they haven't acted on it. And I feel like they throw the academic titles around. I mean, they're getting closer to being accredited, but until I think they finish that, I don't know how serious they're going to be with that.
Well, I don't know, because like, didn't Notre Dame just get theirs? And that's been like the thing supposedly holding them up. But again, I don't know. Like, I don't know how far a team can get into the Big Ten with just having, I mean, I guess they have to add 2 teams, right? With just having like the way they are now and the payouts, I feel like 2 teams would make it 20. They could do a scheduling pod thing that I've been talking about. That makes a lot of sense from a logistics standpoint. But the way they're spread out west, I don't even know. Like, if you just put a random team in Florida, you kind of have to add 2. Like, you can't just add a team and then say, hey, this is our pod. Or like they make it a rejects pod. Like, you know how the NFL used to have like the divisions were so weird. And like even baseball, like the Braves were in the West, I thought, growing up. Or maybe it was before I grew up. Like, I remember like I had a book and all the divisions are weird. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense. But then it's like, that could be the Big Ten. Like, they could have a pod where it's like, oh, Florida State, you want to join? All right, you and Clemson, you're in a division with Nebraska. And who else don't we like? Like Michigan? All right, we'll put you in with Michigan, Nebraska, and Northwestern. It's like, what division is this? Like, who made this up? Some drunk guy? Like, doesn't make any sense. And then it's like the division that everyone hates of teams that like, or I guess it would be Penn State. It would probably be Penn State, Nebraska, Michigan, Florida State, and Clemson. They put us all in the same division. And everyone, all the old Big Ten teams would just randomly be in their own division. And then they'd have a pod. And it's like, why did you make a pod of like random teams and keep the old Big Ten together minus Michigan? And they're like, because we hate you. We hate you, of course. And then they would do like a weird scheduling where it's like a 2-for-1. Michigan has to play at Ohio State twice every 3 years. It's like, why? Why are you doing this? Because that's the only thing that will change things. More teams coming to the Big Ten that don't hate Michigan is going to be the only way to kind of even things out. And I'm hoping that with the Pac-12 schools coming in and having more academic stuff in common might even out some of that pressure from like the Ohio States and everyone, Michigan States that are just hammering Michigan all the time. But time will tell because they weren't really voting members yet when the Harbaugh thing happened. and that's still happening. Which I know some people were. I talked about it last week. I'm done talking this week about it. Maybe next week I'll give a little bit of an update before the hammer comes down, as they say, in June. Even if they have a hammer, I don't know. But that's all I had for today. Hopefully the audio was okay. If the audio box keeps disconnecting or whatever, I might have to make some adjustments. But we'll see next week. Anything you want to talk about, Matt?
I think we pretty much hit it all.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week.